Welcome to Endgame, Beginning of WW3, with your host, F-Town.
Welcome everyone to Endgame Beginning of WW3. I'm your host, F-Town. Got a good show for you tonight. Got a book author, A.K. Kuykendall, author of the book Conspirator's Odyssey, a book about the assassination of JFK. He's a fact-based fiction writer. And A.K., you on the line with me here?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you here pretty good.
All right, perfect. Oh, yeah, I'm with you, Dave. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. But everybody keeps searching for me because I said that John F. Kennedy got his ass probed.
Well, welcome to the show, AK. I'm glad to have you on tonight. You know, I've had you on my other show that I have during the week. A couple weeks ago, or about a month ago, I had you on, I think it's been. And
that was one hell of
it was
a
a real interesting conversation me and you were having about JFK assassination, super soldiers, aliens, and, you know, like I said, I'd like to bring a lot of different views here to my in-game show on world politics, on governmental cover-ups, World War III, Mideast news, Asia news, what have you. So I'll let you go ahead and kind of give a bio of yourself and kind of let everybody know what you do and a little bit about your book here.
Okay, well, guys, how you guys doing tonight? I'm A.K. Kuykendall. I'm the writer of Conspirator's Odyssey, The Evolution of the Patron Saint. Basically, that's a summation. I'm a corporate chef by trade, and but my true passion in life is writing thought-provoking novels that blend the concepts of fact and fiction, and I do that primarily because it's pretty much safer when the powers that be believes me to be full of shit, while I strategically distribute truths to awaken the populace, and that's my spiel.
Good spiel. So, I guess, you know, it's kind of like, I guess we talked on my show before about a month ago, you know, I'm really interested in this, in the JFK assassination and your take on it and how you take on it in your book, about the super soldiers, about maybe child shooters.
Oh my goodness, we definitely have to delve into that. But let me lay down a platform for your guest and give them an overview of what the project is about. It's going to take a couple of minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, guys, sit back. As a young man and a United States Marine Corps brat for the better part of my existence, I grew up with the smell of fatigues which lingered regularly about the many bases my family and I both visited and resided, the pungent aroma trailing me as I made my way through life. Along with my cravings bordering on the obsessive for ready-to-eat military-stock meals, I was brought up to appreciate the military's code of conduct. On the other side of the coin, and through my days, I was especially diligent in historic readings, literature of all genres, and with the media goings-on in the world, all witnessed from an obscure perch I dubbed Fort Kuykendall. As the days in my life ticked by, and as history played itself out before my eyes, I continually found myself at a loss for words in reflection of the many tempestuous global occurrences. There was entirely too much upheaval in the world, and I couldn't get my head around it all. This is when I decided to prioritize, and I allowed my passions to take hold. And though I was born 11 years after his assassination, the late John F. Kennedy became my focus, and with this came a torrent of mysterious doors I instinctively knew neither I nor anyone else was meant to open. In reflection of my time as a military brat witnessing repeat deployments on behalf of our nation, from what I had discovered, I was then and still am to this very day, floored by the rampant political corruption that has covertly reduced our American soldiers to blind defenders and lambs for the slaughter. In searching for answers through an extensive research process, a highly complex puzzle began to emerge with both eerie and true-to-life connections. And in my desperate need to make sense of it all, I pushed on, exhaustively researching every angle that emerged, and then I made a connection that at first even I could hardly believe. I discovered the true meaning behind former President Dwight David Eisenhower's January 17, 1961 farewell address to the nation. By playing on the complexities within my own research, I decided to use the very same historical information that led to this discovery to present a plausible backdrop, and Conspirator's Odyssey was born. As it is written in Wikipedia, a conspiracy theory explains an event as being the result of an alleged plot by a covert group or organization, or more broadly, the idea that important political, social, or economic events are the products of secret plots that are largely unknown to the general public. And so I chose to present my story in the trend of the Illuminatus trilogy. I made it a point to paint an all-too-believable picture of interconnecting, power-hungry, conspiratorial madmen who essentially run the nation behind the scenes. But while Illuminatus is scatterbrained and nearly impossible for the average reader to follow, Conspirator's Odyssey gradually blossoms to reveal each new layer and fold at just the right pace. History is a rather convoluted thing as it is recorded. The sheer weight of the world's words endlessly drowned in a sea of well-placed, strategically balanced, yet beautiful lore. As a self-described historian, objectivity is a necessity and definitely warranted with such studies. But as an author of questionable fiction who wanders the grandiloquence of history's many gateways, I've always fancied the rim of the steepest literary precipice. There is no debating the long and unfortunate line of national and international martyrs whose names and actions will forever live on throughout the many pages of world history, and through those rare but inquisitive wild-eyed youths who are truly riveted by the many stories of old, stories that make up only a fraction of humanity's tumultuous history, when the truths behind what we believe to be fact are but cleverly disguised mirages. From my perspective, one of these martyrs happens to have a grand story both in his lifetime and post his untimely demise. One whose overwhelming impact on American history happens to tug at me with such vengeance is our late President John F. Kennedy. From my exhaustive studies in world history, there's no question in my mind that history is a rather convoluted thing as it is recorded, for you see, it all unraveled on the evening of July 3rd, 1947, in the tiny town of Roswell, New Mexico, when a respected business owner, Dan Wilmot, and his wife were simply relaxing on their front porch. It was on this evening when they witnessed a bright saucer-shaped object with glowing lights move across the cloudy sky at an undeterminable rate of speed. The next day, a tremendous amount of unearthly debris was discovered in the area. That night proved to be infamous and would later come to be known the world over as the Roswell UFO crash incident. President Dwight Eisenhower's farewell address to the nation on January 17, 1961, was not only purposeful, it was a cunningly cloaked one so as to not infringe on the presidential oaths or divulge the many secrets he, as all presidents, was bound. Eisenhower's address was directly related to the Roswell incident because of what took place in the days that followed. Having succeeded Truman for the presidency, and having read his predecessor's notes in the Presidential Book of Secrets, Eisenhower was fully aware of the meeting Truman had with Evie, and was in line with Truman's initial precautions given what transpired that evening. Fully aware of the evolving military trajectory of classification Falcon Suite, and due to what was surmised of the military and technically advanced intel that came out of their research, Eisenhower watched as this once noble endeavor manifested into a diabolical plot with many thorns. Those thorns were so deeply embedded within the tactical arms divisions of our nation that not even the power of the presidency could stop it. One thorn, codenamed the Animan Project, an unsanctioned experiment aimed at developing a superhuman armed force using the men and women of our armed forces. And so it was that Eisenhower's farewell address to our nation was as succinct as it was bold in its delivery. A targeted warning to all Americans and the peoples of the world when he stated, in the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. With President Eisenhower's address seeming to fall upon deaf ears, maybe because of the unusual heaviness of his words at that particular time in history, the strategic military experimentations that took place after the Roswell incident existed and persisted without pause, and ultimately led to the November 22, 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Behind the assassination lay a vast conspiracy well hidden within the complexity of a massive bureaucratic spiderweb that we the people have come to believe and accept, when in fact Project ENDGAME was the mainspring of our president's demise. This is what happened, and I know that this will be an extremely hard pill to swallow, but it must be told. Project ENDGAME reached an evolved testing phase and needed a war. Vietnam was that war. Kennedy was in the way. Bang, bang. Jim Marrs, author of the critically acclaimed book Crossfire, published in 1989, made one of the most important statements ever written concerning the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, which I believe you should take into consideration when it comes to my story. Do not trust this book. In fact, when it comes to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, don't trust any one source or even the basic evidence and testimony. In the case of the JFK assassination, belief and trust have long been a part of the problem. As a pragmatic author of fact-based fiction, and in order to protect my life and the lives of my family, I present the totality of what I've discovered, not only through the covert counsel of my anonymous source and an extremely rigorous research process, but in a fashion that demonstrates the unfettered draw of speculative fiction. Simply put, I present my story as a warning wrapped in a lie in order to tell you the truth. Mark Twain may have been writing about this very project of mine when he wrote that truth is stranger than fiction, because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't. That's the lowdown, guys.
You know, that's like I said, it's real interesting to me. I mean, you talk about Kennedy assassination, that operation that they had going on, Area 51 type stuff, alien connection, you know, intergalactic wars. It's got everything in there, man. It could really keep someone's interest, you know. And like you say, you're a fact-based fiction writer, which, you know, truth wrapped around some fiction, which is a beautiful thing. And
that's still for people. The people don't swallow it either way. People keep asking me, why don't you, with the way that you approach literature, why don't you write nonfiction? Well, first off, I don't consider myself an Ivy Leaguer. And those individuals writing these nonfiction books, 9 times out of 10, it's used for money laundering and for individuals writing these books to each other. I want the masses to read it. And in order for the masses to find interest, you have to appeal to the masses. Fiction is what we are all in love with. Blend a little bit of truth in that, 9 times out of 10, you'll wake someone up faster than that nonfiction crap will. And the reason why I don't write, people keep asking me over and over again, why don't you write nonfiction instead of fiction? But I tell them every time, it's safer. It's safer for me and my family when the powers that be believes me to be full of shit while I strategically distribute truths to awaken the masses. That's the reason why I write the way I write. But doesn't mean I'm going to tell you what the percentage between truth and fiction will be. It's up to you guys to figure that out. What I do is kind of flush out the true truth seekers with my work. It's for everybody. If you just like fiction, it's gonna be one hell of a story. But if you are a true truth seeker, you will instinctively read between the lines, and you'll see relevance that can help you, that can actually catapult you to research more into my theories. And when you do that, it's going to open up a floodgate that you have to look over your shoulders because of the knowledge that you now know.
Well, you know, let me throw this out. I want to throw in the call-in number first in case someone wants to call in and talk to us while we're doing this here. The call-in number is 567-314-9296, or you can get a hold of us on Skype at FPRN Radio Live. If you have anything you want to ask AK or me, be sure just to call in on either one of those things, either on Skype or on the phone, and we'll put you on the air and you can ask away. And
be nice, guys. Be nice.
Yeah, be nice. You know, I'm sure people have got questions out there. You know, I guess what I'm really interested in with that, what we kind of talked about before, AK, is this super soldier stuff. That's really interesting to me, you know, talking about Vietnam and all that. I don't know. I mean, if you want to kind of give your idea of what the super soldier project thing was.
Well, the super soldier project thing came basically when I was in the process of researching for this project, which is many years in the making. It had to do with the concept of Vietnam. Nine times out of 10, everybody out there has been touched by Vietnam in one shape or form. I have. You may have, Dave. Many people out there have loved ones that have passed away. They've known their loved ones to come back with serious mental issues when they came from Vietnam. Most of our soldiers that come from that era or the war eras are living in squalor. I call them the walking dead amongst the hordes because our government uses the 99%. The 99% of us support the 1% of them. And we die blood and sweat tears while they brainwash us and manipulate us into fighting on behalf of their interest. But they throw that patriotic crap into our heads and pump people up as if, yeah, we're going to go kill them. Yeah, we're going to kill Osama. What the hell ever. That's all part of brainwashing, no matter how non-scientific that's behind it. When you get into someone's head, you can get them to get their limbs blown off, and they think they're serving something greater when they're serving something as insignificant as the 1%. They're getting limbs blown off, and then they come back, and certain people try to base charities off of them, and I can understand it all, and I'm with it. But you have to realize that these individuals, even the soldiers to this day, have been experimented on in one way, shape, or form. Any of the enlisted out there that might be listening, any individual that might be listening that have just did a stint in the military, did 3 years, 1 year, 2 years, 4 years in the military, you know what happens if you would turn down an inoculation. Only you know. I can't get no feedback after we're having a conversation, so it's just a one-way stream. It's just Dave and I and you guys listening. You can call in if you want to, but you know what happens. Either you have to stay on the ship if you're in the Navy, you get the grunt work or shit work in the military, no matter what branch of the armed forces that you might be in. Basically, they need you to volunteer this. But remember, when you sign your life away to serve in our voluntary service, you're literally, and I'm telling you, literally signing your life away. You are nothing but guinea pigs in any given test tube, because ultimately they're experimenting with you. But let me set your mind at ease. They're also experimenting with the populace as well. When individuals come out with these major advertising campaigns about the new miracle drug, weight loss drug, just any drug you can even fathom, 9 times out of 10 they're experimenting on the masses as well, because animal testing tells scientists but so much. They need to test it out on the populace. So when you get these major campaigns, they put millions of dollars behind these campaigns, and you're sitting back and you rush to the store to get the new miracle drug, and individuals like myself will sit back for about 2 or 3 years before I even think about consuming that crap. 9 times out of 10, it has a trail of dead bodies, cancer patients, and all other and whatnot. Our boys in the military have been experimenting on since day one. Since the World Wars I and World War II, they've been experimenting with. One thing that every armed nation on our planet has been reaching for is an ultimate weapon. Nuclear weapons aren't the ultimate weapon. That wipes out every damn body. But if you had a super soldier, not just a super soldier, not just someone that with enhanced abilities that can do so many things. No. You need a super soldier that you can control, because if you can't control them, they're just going to take over like the Terminators did, even though those were machines. They'll just take over because they're more powerful than you are. They are a forced, evolved humanoid. They'll just take us over. So that's where the concept of super soldier fused with the studies and the research of MK12, where they're trying to get brainwashing out the way. They're trying to control it from top to bottom. Now, if you've heard this before, you've seen it in other people that write and produce and direct fact-based fiction stories, movies. You've heard that before. The movie Soldier with Kurt Russell, Van Damme, and Universal Soldier. You've heard this before. Do you think this junk is just a figment of someone's imagination, or do you think it's based on something?
Oh, it's based on something big time. I mean, like I said, I was in the military and I got all kinds of shots. I even had a couple of them that made me sick, but And they do. You're forced to get them. You're forced to get them in boot camp. You're forced to get them when you get to your ship. You're forced to get them every time you go overseas. And you're forced for a lot of them. You know, I've got health issues now, and sometimes I wonder if it isn't from all the shots I got from the military.
Exactly. But you're never pinning on it. You're never pinning on the military. You're never pinning on it in our great, big government machine. You'll never be able to pin it because it was ingeniously set up this way. When we got rid of the draft and went to a voluntary service, that was nothing but a political move. The draft is what they need, but you really want someone to volunteer so they would be a willing participant to die on behalf of the 1%. But a force, which I describe in my book, Conspirator's Odyssey, a force like what I describe as a super soldier force that don't have children. They don't have wives that they are attuned to. They don't have bills. Their bills are funded by the government, United States government, and our tax dollars. And they just follow any order given by the 1%. Destroy this country. Yes, sir. Kill that little girl. Yes, sir. Kill that little boy. Yes, sir. Kill that president. Yes, sir. You got to understand, this is a bigger connection. And I can see why we got cut off over and over again in the last show that we had, Dave. Because some of this stuff that we were trying to get into, it never happened primarily because of the subject that I'm talking about. I'm breaking away in a drastic way away from my story now. And I'm going to roll back to it. But it has everything to do with my story in a sense, but not the story's premise itself. Vietnam was nothing but a grand science experiment. Nothing but an experiment. And Kennedy simply was in the way. He was simply in the way. Basically, Dave, you mind if I read another little piece real quick?
Yeah, didn't you say, now I know you'll probably get into this later tonight, but isn't it your belief that it was child killers you believe that did this?
Actually, it was a child that delivered the final shot to the cranium of John F. Kennedy from the storm drain location. The storm drain location at which only a child could actually fit into. So the theories back in the day that we heard about through the investigations, the Warren Commission investigations, when they talked about the possibility of a trajectory coming from the sewer drain location, they just automatically threw it out. They call it bonkers, primarily because no full-grown adult could actually fit into that manhole. Couldn't, but a child did. The child was actually 9 years old. I describe it in my book. Now, it could be pure bullshit I'm talking about here, but it's up to you to think about it. And the only thing I ask you to do is think about it. And remember the concept that I write. Fact-based fiction. And think to yourself real clearly. What comes first? It's fact. Ladies and gentlemen, Conspirator's Odyssey, The Evolution of the Patron Saint, is not fiction, my friends. I just present it that way. My method for provoking thought aimed at the masses, I use fact-based fiction as my conduit. I feel it's better absorbed this way and won't put you to sleep like many authors of nonfiction. Plus, as a family man, I'm bound by the same fear as us all. Losing my wife or children in a covert assassination plot for simply seeking or speaking to truth. As a pragmatic author of fact-based fiction, and in order to protect my life and the lives of my family, I present the totality of what I've discovered through the covert counsel of my anonymous source and an extremely rigorous research process, but in a fashion that demonstrates the unfeathered draw of speculative fiction. I'm a member of a secret society, one that uses the concept of alternative history to slowly awaken the masses to the covert doings of individuals of this world and beyond. It's a weapon stronger than you may think, for one cannot save a world nestled in a box strategically dormant to the realities of their existence. By exposing the masses to the idea of an alternative history, it will help to soften the blow felt when the world's dirty laundry can no longer be contained. Writers such as myself, producers, film directors, etc. have been doing this for years, preparing the masses for the inevitable. Think back to Rod Serling's 1959 through 1964 series, The Twilight Zone, or the Mercury Theater's October 30th, 1938 broadcast of The War of the Worlds over the Columbia Broadcasting System radio, where actor Orson Welles continues to frighten the hell out of me. I knew then that in order to shake the psyche and affect the consciousness of my brethren, I would have to do it today, just as they did back then. My theory will dare to shatter the needle concerning President John F. Kennedy's demise that is both relevant and necessary given the redundant cycle our government has had we truth seekers on since Kennedy's assassination. When it comes to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, many of we truth seekers would firmly proclaim, "I don't read fiction." Well, I must take issue with this particular state of mind, as I believe it's a conditioned thought pattern that is simply thinly veiled semantics. The word theory, by definition, is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be, i.e. the convoluted conundrum of the John F. Kennedy assassination. So if you read anything on the JFK assassination, you're reading what you refer to as fiction, because every author approaches the assassination of President John F. Kennedy from a theoretical perspective. There has been a lot of speculation that Kennedy had all the cards stacked against him, which was absolutely true. The Cubans wanted him killed for the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. The U.S. Mafia wanted him killed because Kennedy's brother was on the warpath for them. The FBI boss Hoover wanted him dead as he supported the black minority in the United States. The CIA did not like him after Kennedy sacked their boss. And on the UFO situation, Kennedy was about to blow the whistle. They had to stop this disclosure. Then there was the Chinese-Russian connection. At the end of the day, there were so many forces working against him that it was looking back on it now, almost impossible to stop what happened. And with so many people out to get him, it was again impossible to pin the killing on any one group or person, thus adding to the redundant Byzantine reverie by us all as it relates to President Kennedy's demise. Our history is truly convoluted concerning the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, to which I believe we've been purposely steered into this particular state of mind. The perpetrators of JFK's assassination used this concentrated level of confusion to literally pull the wool over the eyes of the masses, as it was simply a war, Vietnam, that was the deciding factor which led to Kennedy's demise. Before you think to yourself, bullshit, reflect on the conflict in Vietnam and the unyielding push for its escalation pre and post President Kennedy's murder. However, it was the why behind the push for war that my discovery comes into play. Listen, Presidents Truman, Eisenhower, and Kennedy will forever be tied together in history, for which the masses will never fully comprehend, as Truman gave ironclad rise to the military-industrial complex following the infamous Roswell UFO incident, the strategic trajectory of which eventually led to the murder of President John F. Kennedy. President Eisenhower covertly warned we the people on January 17, 1961, in his farewell address to the nation. We just didn't listen. Yes, a child killed Kennedy, or at least delivered that fatal shot. There were children everywhere, but you didn't see crap except for babies in the crowd that you've seen out there. But there were children between the ages of 5 and 10, actually 5 and 12, that were out there, scattered about. Kennedy was not meant to survive. He was not going to survive. There was plants in the hospital, the nearest hospital that he eventually went to for the autopsy. There were plants everywhere. He was not going to survive. But the fact of the matter is, ultimately, he was not going to survive, because if anybody can just look at the Magruder tape, when you're being shot at, and you know you're being shot at, did Kennedy really react like a person being shot at? He ain't even try to damn duck. Did he even look like, did he look like he was in his right state of mind? I can tell you right now, from the White House, he was drugged before he left for Dallas. If you guys, I know it's getting ready to come to a hard break. If you guys want to read into a little bit more about me, go to www.thewriterofbooks.com. www.thewriterofbooks.com.
At Damari Nolo Outfitters, we view the outdoors as our home, not a harsh wilderness. Our gear is chosen for adventure, not just in our backyard, but in the vast expanse of our amazing planet. Damari Nolo Outfitters carries the essential gear and tools you will need to live the empowering mindset of self-reliance. Our products are chosen especially for their durability and quality and are carefully tested by our staff and associates. Our promise to you is we never offer any item for sale we don't use ourselves, so we can offer only what we know to be the best. Our online store makes it simple to browse through our high-quality lines of clothing, knives, tools, load carry gear, and accessories. We are committed to offering you the best American-made equipment on the market, a promise you'll see as we continually add new products. For more information about our products and blog posts to help you learn more about self-reliance and equipment, please visit www.domarinolo.com. That's DOMARI-NOLO.com. Damari Nolo, chosen for survival and adventure.
Hi, I'm Trevor Moore. Due to the recent revelations that in order to fight terrorism, the NSA has been using a secret court order to spy on every single Verizon and AT&T customer, Americans have become outraged and concerned about their rights to privacy. But along with that concern comes a feeling of hopelessness. I mean, what can we do? Vote in new leaders? Well, the problem is that during an election, each candidate pretends to not be an asshole. Then when they get the job, they reveal that they've actually been a complete asshole this entire time. No, elections are of no use. The only way to fight back against our country's excessive wiretapping and data mining is to make it irrelevant. That's why we're launching Operation Everyone Talk Like a Terrorist all the time. If we all openly discuss terrorist plots in each of our phone conversations, then eavesdropping on those phone conversations becomes pointless. It's simple. We just need to work it into our daily vernacular. For example, instead of saying, "I love you," you could describe a terror attack. The larger the scale, the more you love the person.
Hi, Mom. I just got out of school. Can you pick me up?
I'll be there in 15 minutes. I'm gonna use a truck bomb to blow up the Brooklyn Bridge.
I'm mailing anthrax to Cures to Morgan.
Or nonsense about God's will being great could mean affirmative.
Hey man, they have a 7:30 show, and do you think you can make it in time?
God is merciful and his love is unchanging. Did you already get me a ticket?
And those are just a few examples. You can make up your own. Have fun with it. But it's time for us to stand up and protect our rights. Because those assholes aren't going to.
To think something so small could control you.
And everything you do. When your life and all you love
are on the line. The RFID chip is always with you, threatening your privacy, causing severe risk to your health and personal safety, and killing you if you do not obey rogue government demands.
Because I want to increase my risk of cancer.
Because I want to live in a cash-free society.
Because now the government is looking out for us.
Because I have the mark of the beast, but it doesn't have me.
Ask your doctor how to get your chip implanted today.
Because we want to track your every move.
Do you have a group or organization founded on the principles of personal liberty, health freedom, or accountable government? We invite you to check out Same Side Entertainment. Get connected with leaders in the liberty movement like Tom Woods, Kevin Gutzman, Jack Hunter, Robert Scott Bell, Michael Scheuer, and many more. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our website at www.samesideentertainment.com. Again, that's www.samesideentertainment.com. Same Side Entertainment, connecting you with the education and resources you need.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
We're back here on Endgame Beginning of WW3 with my guest, A.K. Kuykendall, author of Conspirator's Odyssey. So you back, A.K.?
I'm with you, sir. I'm with you. I mean, Dave. Dave don't like to be called sir, guys, so don't dare do it. He can verbally kick your ass doing that.
So anyway, before we went to break here, we were talking about super soldiers and child, they killed possibly JFK and stuff. So, I mean, do you think that children are, to this day, are trained to be like killers for like the CIA or the FBI?
Very much so. Very much so. They are individuals individuals that try to develop something. There's weapons when it comes down to the military-industrial complex. There's no threshold when it comes down to weaponizing anything they can get their hands on, whether it's a damn toaster to a baby. Because you have people keep talking about outer countries having terror cells inside the United States, but the military has got its own cells. It's got its own cells to reach out to push out agendas that might be on the books. My research has led me to these avenues, which that's why I said that, you know, it took me into a lot of dark avenues when I was just researching some of the basic why behind the Kennedy's assassination. But it took me into many different areas of the military-industrial complex to the point where I found this out.
Oh, that's interesting, man. You know, it's crazy that, you know, I know you don't really get into MK Ultra and all that other stuff. I know you talk about it a little bit. You know, I believe that there's mind control out there. I mean, you look at with the Boston bombings, you even look at this lady of recently that ran her car into the barriers at the White House and stuff, or at least they say she did. The Navy Yard shooting a couple weeks ago, where the guy said he was hearing low-level frequencies from his hotel room in his head. And, of course, a lady that rammed her car into the barriers at the White House says that she was hearing voices in her head and that Obama was stalking her in her head and all this other stuff. You know, I can see where these, the Aurora shootings in Colorado, I mean, all of it, the Sandy Hook shootings, you know, I'm a firm believer that mind control is out there. I mean, especially with HAARP, psychotic drugs out there now and everything. So, you know, I do believe that people can be put under mind control, you know, without them even really knowing it, and ended up being forced to do something that they don't remember the next day if they live through it. And,
it's funneled through television. It's funneled through the movies that we watch. It's funneled through the video games that our kids play. There's many different ways to affect the psyche, but these individuals have damn near mastered it. A child walks into Sandy Hook. I don't care what his background is. Walks into Sandy Hook, kills babies. No feeling whatsoever. First kills his mom, then kills the babies. I'm wondering. They killed his mom because his mom might have known about the project that he was being experimented. You never know. It happened with Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald was experimented back a while ago, a long time ago when he was just a child. But that's described in my book.
Well, it's interesting. And all this, you know, all this mind control and stuff.
Oswald and where he came from. I delved into the history of his mother.
Oh, yeah. This stuff's been going on for a long time. Real long time. Are you there? Right, did we lose AK? Not sure. I think we're having some technical issues here. Yeah, you there? Oh, they cut him off again. This is what happened last time when he was on my show. His modem got knocked down, and then later on my modem got knocked down. Every time I get this guy on the show, it seems to be a disconnection between us. I mean, this is how serious the information is that he puts out in his book. You know, you start talking about MK Ultra and Sandy Hook and all these Columbine shootings, the Aurora shootings. You start talking about that lady the other day with her car. You know, government don't want you to know there's mind control out there. They just want you to be a good sheep and watch the TV and take your government-funded drugs from Big Pharma and just kick back and enjoy the ride. You know, they don't want people to know the truth. Yeah, I guess it's on his end right now. AK will have to try to figure it out here. I'll have to try to get him up on Skype here and see what's going on. But, yeah, you know, there's all kinds of mind control and stuff going on. Well, now he's offline, I guess. Yeah, his internet went down. Oh, this is what happened last time. Oh, man. But he's got a real good book. Check it out on his website. His website is thewriterofbooks.com. You can get his book, Conspirator's Odyssey, there. Also, he has another book called The Possession he wrote before Conspirator's Odyssey. It's kind of a horror book. But Conspirator's Odyssey, I've started reading it a little bit on the ebooks, and it's a real good book. Real good book. And he's trying to get a hold of me on Skype now, but it's not working. I don't know what's going on. But I guess until he gets back, I can talk about some. He says, I don't know, we're having some technical problems here. He was just Skype me and says that he's on and that he doesn't know why he can't get through. His internet's not down.
Hey, Dave.
And he's wondering what's going on. Maybe you can try to connect him again, Ryan. Are you back? AK?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. I just got back on. I don't know what just happened. I just went off, but I was in the middle of a conversation, in the middle of a talk.
Well, they're listening to us. It's the NSA, man. You start throwing out keywords and stuff. You can't say bomb on a plane, these days without getting cut off, And it's
like the second time I think it's cursed, man.
Well, you got to face it. If you're not on any kind of list, you're doing something wrong. If you're not on the red list these days or blue list or whatever you want to call it, you're doing something wrong these days.
Well, I can tell you right now, Maharashi government, I don't want to be on no list. I'm just writing a book, man. I just wrote a book. If it happens to have some truth in it, so be it. I'm no different than any other author out there.
I tell you what, your audio sounds a lot better now this second time around. The NSA must have fixed your mic for you.
That's a good one.
They're like, damn, we got to get his mic clear. We got to hear what this guy's saying.
And that little technology, what is it called? A pro bono upgrade.
That's right. Hey, thanks, NSA, for helping the show out. I appreciate it. You're a great bunch of guys.
Appreciate you. I feel a little bit bad though because I'm using the tax dollars, using my fellow Americans' tax dollars for it.
They gave you an instant upgrade, dude.
They're not doing it on their dime.
But where were we before we got so rudely interrupted, man?
See, that's what messes me up when I'm in a powerful reach. I'm out there. I'm really doing the thing. Something happens and it throws me completely off. I don't know what keeps going. Every time we get shut off, it throws me off. I'm completely lost on exactly what subject matter we were on.
I think we were talking about MK Ultra. That's when they cut us off and we started talking about mind control.
Yeah, the mind control. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'll get back into it. Let's see if it happens again. Now, when it comes down to the Sandy Hook, they go in and this guy kills his mother and then kills babies, right? Out of the blue, just kills his mother. What if his mother has something to do with that? What my book talks about is not necessarily that, but it touches on subjects as in 9/11. It touches on the concept of the superhuman soldier, the reasons, the ultimate goal, objective of these military industrial complex, on the reasons why they want to have this armed force. And this armed force was meant by Truman, the Harry S. Truman, to be used to fight an extraterrestrial race. And, not to fight us, but it's to fight anything that would actually impede on our world, not just our nation, but our world. But then other factions of the military-industrial complex are using it for other means. And ultimately, they're trying to take over the world, using the super soldiers to take over the world. Because think about it, if you had a super soldier, if you had a legion of super soldiers, like in the Clone Wars, from Star Wars, you wouldn't really need to worry about any voluntary service or anything like that, or using our people. Basically, you just use the super soldiers. And they're able to take over nations without having to worry about anything. And guess what? It would prevent us from having to kowtow to all these damn nations out there. We wouldn't have to continue to make deals and embargoes and treaties and all this other kind of crap. We can just take them over, and it'd be United States of Earth.
Oh yeah.
These are some of the reasons why.
It's crazy the way they operate. The industrial military complex and all that. And it's a big thing. And they've got all kinds of secret stuff with them.
Yes, sir. If you want to focus on the Kennedy assassination, look to the military-industrial complex, and you'll find your answers.
Oh, exactly. I really do believe that Kennedy was knocked out because of something he knew and all that, and because of Vietnam. I don't believe it was no accident. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, it wasn't an accident. Basically, you can't get in the way of these big boys with the in the military-industrial complex. They had the premise is they had an ongoing mission. That ongoing mission had something to do with injecting our soldiers with a beta version of their concocted super soldier serum. And they needed, in order to field test this serum, they needed to have that play out on a grand stage. Now, if you guys are out there saying, man, this guy is full of crap, think about this. Was there any other wars on the horizon back then? Was there any pending wars coming up? Better yet, when our tax dollars are used without us knowing to buy some of the most state-of-the-art military weapons, or to develop the most state-of-the-art lethal military weapons, how else is a nation going to really test these weapons? They test it in war. They test it in battle. Hence the reason the Bush administration pushed like hell for the Iraq war. People use wars to test their armory and to show other nations how badass they are. Vietnam was nothing but a grand science experiment, and Kennedy was just simply in the way of that experiment. I'm sure he didn't know nothing about that experiment, but guess who did? Lyndon Baines Johnson. He knew. He worked a deal because he wanted to be president so damn bad. But guess what he was handed after the experiment failed miserably? He was handed a war. And when he was handed that war, he didn't know what to do with it. So he kept trying to get our minds off of it. He kept trying to do everything he possibly could to get our minds off of it. This guy is a good old boy. And guess what? He went into this, he signed one of the most historic civil rights acts in this country's ever known or ever seen. You know that was, Dave, right?
Oh, yeah, yep.
The civil rights act. He was the one that skyrocketed. That's a good old boy. He wasn't about to do no crap like that. But he was just ultimately trying to get our minds off of this crap. He was trying to get our minds off of the war. Because pretty much it was staining what little legacy he would have had. It was nothing but a black eye on his legacy. And he knew it.
Well, we were talking about with Kennedy here. We were talking earlier today off there, me and you, and we were talking on Skype earlier today about how Jesse Ventura has come out and says that he knows that Lee Harvey Oswald isn't the one that killed Kennedy. That, he has evidence that tells him different. What do you think about that?
I think Jesse Ventura is dead on the money. I want to read his book. I want to see the theories of that. What he talked about. He said he has unequivocal proof. That's all I want. But ultimately, anybody with a brain cell can tell you that Lee Harvey Oswald did not kill John F. Kennedy. Just didn't happen. And definitely the fatal shot that came from the right side front. That came from the manhole, which I alluded to, with the 9-year-old child shot. Kennedy delivered that fatal shot. But he did all that from the Texas Book Depository? No. With that gun? No. He was part, I can tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, he was part of the coup to assassinate President John F. Kennedy. He was on a mission of his own. Patsies do not have, basically, patsies are set up like you and I. People that don't know nothing about the military, that have never been in the military, just have some kind of grudge or whatever out there. At one time, people thought that that Lee Harvey Oswald was working for Bobby Kennedy at one time, but he was in the Secret Service. He was in the CIA, and now he wasn't as a CIA operative or agent, but he had dealings with the CIA. All this stuff started to unravel when they kept coming up with all these cover stories. But he was part of that mission to kill the assassinate the president. But he was just meant as a ruse, meant to steer our direction, because that manicure cocaine, when it shoots, it gives off a huge smoky trail. That gives you not only the sound of where the gun's coming from with that archaic weapon, it gives you a sound of where it's come from, but it also sees a huge dusty smoke trail that everybody focuses their attention on. And you've seen that in any other films, right?
When it comes to Kennedy, I know there was a lot of things tied up with him. I mean, there's the rumor that one of the bodyguards stepped away from the car before the shot was fired to give whoever did it an open shot. That if that bodyguard, Secret Service agent, would have stood next to where he was, that the agent would have got hit and not Kennedy. So and I know someone who else got shot in that too. Someone else got shot too.
What's that guy that's in the front seat?
Was that McGovern that got shot?
I think so. I don't know. I would have to, like, the names on the tip of my tongue. I just can't roll it out. So focused for these past 4 years on Kennedy.
Because I know someone else got shot too in that. I don't know if it was an agent. I think it was the governor that was shot. McGovern. I think that's his name.
Yeah, maybe.
Texas governor was shot.
Yeah, because it was right in front of him. Because some people alluded that gentleman, the one that was in front of Kennedy, actually shot him from inside the car. That was another theory, that he had his hat down. Remember when he put his hat down on the side? He had a revolver and shot the president through the neck. But the president didn't react or act the same way anybody else, you or I, would react to gunshots. And if you've seen him in the process of getting off the Air Force One, you've seen him shaking hands with people. Somebody in our America had to have been there or know someone that was there. Did anyone take a look at John F. Kennedy's eyes? When your eyes are glazed over, you know when someone's high. You know when someone might be a little bit out of it because they might be drugged. Kennedy was drugged before he left the White House.
You think so?
No, so.
Like, how was he drugged? Like, through food, through water, or?
He was drugged through his breakfast that morning.
I could believe that. I could believe someone could drug him. I've heard like Obama, he has like food tasters and stuff, and I'm sure a lot of your presidents do now.
Actually, the food tasters and all this other stuff came about after Kennedy's assassination. They tightened up the reins. There's a lot more security around presidents since Kennedy was assassinated. There's a lot more protocols that were put in place based on the Kennedy assassination.
Well, when it comes to Lee Harvey Oswald, I've read stories where actually he didn't die, that he went on and lived a full life after he went through trial and everything, that he didn't really get sent to prison, or he didn't die, he didn't get assassinated when he was getting led into the courtroom, that he went on to lead a full life. And I've read that from several different credible, authors and other people that know a lot about Kennedy. And then I'm like, well, I mean, I've seen the video of Oswald getting shot, but they say that was fake, that he actually lived and went on, and the FBI gave him a cover name and everything, and he led a full life.
Yeah, he led a full life, and that was true. That he did. It was, I can't say true, maybe true. He did go on to live a full life. My book, Conspirator's Odyssey, alludes to that. He did live a full life, but it wasn't necessarily a life. He was an operative. He was playing many different countries, but he basically had face augmentation. Everything was changed on him. He was changed. The people that I allude to, the cover names that I allude to in my book, knew Oswald, knew who he was, and Oswald had over 45 different names. He was an operative, playing the middle of many different countries. He was an operative, a major operative. He was a major player in the game.
But CIA agent you're talking about?
He was playing. It's very difficult without. When you read my book, you'll see the processes of where they experiment. In a sense, Lee Harvey Oswald was like a quasi first of this experimental breed of superhuman soldier. Oswald was somewhat like that. But this dealt with, because he was like a skinny kid when he was growing up, and they offered his mother a package. But the details of that, I don't want to go into detail of that, but the details of that are in my book. But it talks about the concept of Oswald being one of these experimental breeds. And they experimented with many different children back then, many children. And their parents got a lot of money for them, allowing them to take blood from these children, inject these children, all these things. And these supposed wonder drug had to do with just trying to, you know, take malnutrition looking children that might have been a little bit low self-esteem and whatnot, and basically they try to boost this energy level in them, and that was passed off to Kennedy's Oswald's mother, Marguerite. So she allowed them to experiment it, but Marguerite was like a hot mess, man. She was out of it. She just wanted the money. That's all she wanted. She didn't give a damn about Lee Harvey Oswald.
Well, what about Kennedy's wife? You know, she went on to lead a full life, and you know, she never got taken out, and I don't know how much she knew about anything, but I mean, do you think she was involved in the assassination of her husband?
I can say this: there's no hell like a woman scorned. Hell have no wrath like a woman scorned.
Well, did she know that he was messing around like with Marilyn Monroe and stuff?
Hell yeah, she knew. Hell yeah, she knew. I'll just say, hell have no wrath like a woman scorned. Yes, I can just say that. I would have to come. My next project kind of delves into that aspect of it as well. My next book, Conspirators Odyssey, Origins. The next book of Conspirators Odyssey, this is book 2, will be delving deeper into the mythos of John F. Kennedy. What he knew, how his family lineage, and whatnot. It'll delve into that. Kennedy, let me just say this. Kennedy was Kennedy was a martyr. Literally, Kennedy actually martyred himself. Let's just say that he was meant to die that day, and he knew he was going to die. He was meant to die. It was going to happen one way, shape, or form. But his death gave certain factions of an organization that he was a part of more access to get closer to this diabolical 1% or this diabolical all-seeing eye. So, and that's not the fiction part of it. It sounds fiction, but it's not.
Well, listen, Nick, I want to throw out the number here for people to call in if they want. It's 567-314-9296, or you can get us on Skype at FPRN Radio Live. Again, 567-314-9296 or FPRN Radio Live. If you want to call in and talk to AK, ask him a few questions, or me. We've got probably about 2 minutes till break here, AK. You know, I'd like to get into after the break. I'm losing my train of thought here.
You and me both.
I guess we got about a minute here till break. We'll get into the alien connection. That's really interesting. The intergalactic battle being fought. And I think that has a lot to do with stuff back then and what's happening now, you know, with some of the stuff that's coming out with the fireballs and all that other stuff. But, you know, it's really interesting to hear you talk about the alien connection and kind of toward Area 51 and all that other stuff here. But like I said, we'll get into that after break. We got about 30 seconds here till break.
That should be interesting. Let's just hope we don't get media taken out.
Oh, exactly, man. Hopefully we don't lose connection again, man. I mean, like I said, they gave you a clearer mic so they could hear you better, so that's a good thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, but you know how it goes sometimes. We've been through it. It's like we've been to war. We've been to battle together, Dave. You know how it goes. We've been to battle together. We've been down.
All right, we're going to break now. This is Endgame, beginning of WW3, and we'll be back.
In 1997, a high school shooting was stopped by a vice principal with a gun. In 1998, a middle school shooting was ended by a neighbor with a gun. In 2002, a terrorist attack was stopped by a school guard and a teacher with a gun. After September 11th, pilots began carrying guns to protect their passengers. Let's give our schools and teachers the same option. Sign the petition at defendschools.com.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene.
I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom.
I'm a graphic designer,
College freshman,
Stay-at-home mom with a full-time job.
Scholar on social policy and a barista.
and I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, we promise to support him no matter what.
Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants, Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z, have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III.
And America is dead-ass broke, so our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008, in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV and any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers that tell him what to do would ever mislead us. A $25 donation will get you a piece of rubble from a war-torn Middle Eastern country kissed by Senator Lindsey Graham.
A $100 donation gets you a day pass to leave your local refugee camp.
You'll probably end up in a refugee camp, but it'll have free Wi-Fi.
So please, help us reach our goal of $1.6 trillion so we can make World War III a reality. Why? Because Obama.
Because Obama.
Mr. President, members of Congress, you've been making a lot of noise about taking our guns away. But you might want to review history. 1835, Gonzales, Texas Territory. The authorities wanted to confiscate the big gun that protected that colony. You know what the people said? Come and take it. Because they were willing to fight for their freedom and their guns. So are we.
Come and take it if you want it. Come and take it if you think you can. Come and take it, but I warn you, you'll have to pry it from my cold dead hands. We want the freedom that God gave us, so you best not cross that line. If you want this gun, you gotta come through us and take it.
One shot at a time. Just like Gonzales, we're keeping our guns.
Talk about a wake-up call. I was paying for all the doctor's visits, insurance premiums, and medical costs out of pocket. All these expenses were keeping me from living the carefree lifestyle that I wanted. Then the government told me about Obamacare. Now with Obamacare, I don't worry about my health care. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I get all my prescription drugs for free, and there's no more coverage gap. I no longer need to worry about pre-existing conditions. We can see any doctor whenever we want for any reason, and so can everyone else.
Obamacare is not for everyone, like Congressman. If you are already healthy, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. If you are a sick person, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. Many people on Obamacare may experience longer wait times and fewer doctors, and denial of your treatment of choice. If you are faced with a healthcare situation, you may be denied treatment through government rationing.
Obamacare even covers my kids up to age 26.
If you experience a recession lasting more than 4 years, stop taking Obamacare and contact a travel agent to move to the Bahamas or New Zealand.
And the best thing is that Obamacare is free.
Obamacare is not free. Obamacare will increase the national debt by $863 billion in 10 years. Your taxes will go up $569 billion by 2019. If you see a major jump in your premiums, you should opt out of Obamacare immediately. Opting out of Obamacare is illegal and will incur major fines and penalties unless you are a union member who received a special waiver from the Obama administration. Obama is not responsible for the negative effects on the economy, your pocketbook, your freedoms, or your health.
Obama solved all my problems.
Obamacare. Live your carefree lifestyle.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
Okay, we're back here on Endgame Beginning of WW3. My guest, A.K. Kuykendall, author of Conspirators' Odyssey. And I think we wanted to get into the alien connection you were talking about with JFK, about, I don't know, Greys, reptilians, how they're walking amongst us, intergalactic wars. So kind of bring us up to speed on that, AK. On like I said, I'm a real believer that there are other life forms out there. I believe that they're walking among us. I've always believed that. You know, I believe that with this comet Ison that they've been following, it's supposed to be the biggest comet we've had in like a century or something like that. It's supposed to be 4 times brighter than the moon, and then all these fireballs we've been having. You know, it's real interesting to make me, maybe wonder if there isn't an intergalactic war being fought.
My book alludes to that intergalactic war, but there are factions in our United States government and governments around the world that have been working side by side with these beings. Some of these beings are good, for the most part. Some of these beings are good, and some of them are not. The ones that are not are the same ones that actually destroyed our first Earth, which was Mars. Mars was our first Earth. Now, remember, I'm speaking off the cuff of my tongue. I'm not basing anything off any kind of facts or anything. These are nothing but theoretical hypotheticals. And I believe that Mars was once an Earth, just as vibrant. And if you just think about it, do a little bit of research, and you'll see that the Mars rover is finding water here and there, finding bacteria here and there on Mars. So that should tell you that there is something afoot. There's something afoot out there when it comes down to to Mars and all the things that are evolving to this day. Then you deal with when you're dealing with the Greys and whatnot. Kennedy had a more insight than you could ever any of us truth seekers could ever fathom. But the information that was kept from him was the same information that led to his assassination. If he had that information, he could have actually protected himself in one way, shape, or form. I bet you he wouldn't have sent the 16,200 troops down there in the first place, and he would have fortified himself or his security tenfold. But he did not fortify himself. He just believed he had the faith in his Secret Service, and he also didn't have the major trajectories that the military-industrial complex was leading to. Because ultimately, he would have found out if he would have because 10 days before he was assassinated, there's stories out there that he requested information. Yeah, he needed to request that information, but if they would have gave him that information, he would have found out about this grand science experiment, i.e. the Vietnam War, and pretty much that history could have been totally different then if he would have known that information. He just did not know that information. On top of that, many different presidents have always been in contact with an extraterrestrial life form. Kennedy knew about extraterrestrial life form. He might have known about 1, 2, many of them, but I know he knew about at least 3 different life forms out there. But just like Eisenhower knew of these life forms, hell, Harry S. Truman, which began all this crap, knew about these life forms. And to the point where they signed things like the Interplanetary Treaty. Have you ever heard of that, Dave?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yes, that interplanetary treaty was meant to trade arms and this for certain minerals, gold, diamonds, silver, all these things. It was meant to work a deal for technology and whatnot. But every government has been lulled into this false sense of security when many of these factions that they're working side by side with have ulterior motives. Let's just say these extraterrestrial factions that are working with our heads of state are the people in our government, along with the governments of the world, are like the CIA going in to be a mole for their objectives. It's no different.
That's interesting stuff, man. You know, like I said, I believe that our government is controlled by aliens. I mean, look at John Kerry, Lizard Man, the way he always sticks his tongue out every 2 seconds when he talks, and he just doesn't lick his lips. He sticks his tongue out like a lizard. I mean, I'm serious. If you've ever watched him when he talks, he sticks his tongue in and out. I mean, even my wife one day, she's like, "What's wrong with that guy? He looks like a lizard." I said, "Because he's a reptilian." You know, you had that news guy hiss at another news guy or a guest on this news show, and there was a video of that hissing like a snake, and it's crazy. I really do believe that there are, you know, it's kind of like the show V. I don't know how many people have seen that, where there are,
Love that show.
they you know, they look like us. They're walking around and everything, but underneath the skin, they're reptilians or they're grays. They either, you know, I don't know if any of them really want to be our friend, but, you know, I don't know how many actually want to eat us. I do believe, like we've talked before, all those pictures, that campaign back in the 70s, 80s, where they had kids on the back of milk cartons that were missing. I believe that these kids were either mind controlled by the CIA to be killers or they were given to aliens. Just like all the people that are missing in this world that no one knows what has happened to them. I believe that we take them to, you know, we've got places throughout the world. I think Area 51 is the landing place for the United States where we trade off like test subjects for technology. I mean, you look at cell phones, you look at internet, you look at these new TVs, these smart TVs, your smartphones. You know, they call it alien technology for a reason, because it is alien technology. I mean, you look at our stealth fighters and stuff. They say that those stealth fighters was given to us by aliens. You know, how to make stealth material, you can't track planes on radars, untrackable planes and stuff. They say that computers inside like stealth fighters are like 20 years ahead of civilian computers. And I do believe that we're getting a lot of technology. We give them test subjects, and it's been going back and forth for years. I mean, there's been reports of, I don't know which presidents have, probably Obama too, have met with like aliens in the White House.
This is true. With most of these, there are a lot of theories out there, but yes, even it was speculated that that President Obama admitted to Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, that there are aliens. But every president at one time or the other has admitted that. Let's just say John F. Kennedy, when he was talking to Bill Holden on Air Force One, he admitted it. He said specifically, and I quote, "I would like to tell the American people about the alien situation, but my hands are tied." He said that specifically, flat out, to Bill Holden. It might have been a slip of the tongue. He wasn't supposed to say it, but he said it. Remember,
I mean, there's documentation out there that we have been having communications with people from other places out there in the galaxy for forever almost. I mean, it's been known that, I mean, you go back to the Sumerian days, one of the first civilized populations on the world, their people, and you look at their codices and cave drawings and all kinds of stuff, they've got drawings of spaceships, of airplanes, of helicopters, and they've always put the words, you know, that men in the silver ships come and talk to us. So, I mean, it goes back to the Sumerians where aliens have been around. And that's what they used to say, men in the silver ships.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't put anything past anything when it comes down to the United States government. There's more things, but they're actually being controlled. You might as well just have batteries in their backs. They're being controlled, and we actually think we have a democracy. You guys are out of your rabbit minds. As I alluded to Dave, many times in our conversations, democracy is a country of the people, by the people, and for the people. But in actuality, we're not a democracy. We are a bureaucracy. And a bureaucracy, by definition, is a country ran by the unelected. There are people behind the people that we supposedly vote into office that truly run our nation and ultimately the world. They have their thumb on the red button of having to do with the safety and well-being of every humanoid this side of the equator. You have no idea what they're capable of. But you have to realize that this network, this conglomerate, is so intertwined, so massive of a spider web, that the only thing that we can do about it is have conversations like this, write books like the one that I've written, write other books like the one that Jesse Ventura wrote. You think we're really going to solve these problems by writing and talking it? No, it's not going to happen. You think we're going to solve this problem with a revolution? No, that's not going to happen either. Basically, we need to sit back and allow this story to unfold right before our eyes, because every day, the story that I've told is unfolding right before your eyes. The story that many others have told is evolving right before your eyes. The show V, which was very popular back then, I love that show V. Think about how it all began with them and what Dave and I are talking about now. That show began when they came in peace. We come in peace. But they just did it they basically, you just take a little bit of it, they did it on a massive scale. These individuals are doing it in secret with our secret governments. What's the difference? One's overt and one's covert. But it's the same damn thing. It's the same method. Sun Tzu said warfare is based on deception. The best way to destroy an enemy is from the inside out, not the outside in. Don't you agree?
Oh, I agree with that, and I think for anybody to think that there aren't other life forms out there and they're not among us, I think they need to wake up. I mean, you go back to the Bible where it said God created the heavens and the earth. It just didn't say he created one species. He said he created man in his own image, but he doesn't say where he created man. It could be here. It could be on other planets. I mean, just to shut out the idea that there aren't other people out there or they're not among us is very shallow thinking. And believe me, there could, I don't care how crazy people think I am. I firmly believe that the elite, the New World Order, they have contacts with other species all the time, and that they are infiltrated, not just in our government, but everybody's government, that there are alien species that are running this world. I firmly believe that. I mean, if you check into the New World Order, they're into all kinds of satanic stuff, demonic stuff. They're into to different types of rituals. People just can't be so shallow and think that we're the only ones on this earth. I mean, there's been millions of reports of UFOs. I mean, there's crop circles. I mean, some of them might be a hoax, but not all of them. And I just get so irritated with people that say, oh, there aren't aliens. There ain't aliens in our government. There aren't aliens in the New World Order. I think you need to think again and wake up if you really believe that there aren't.
Very much so. I'm with you, but most people do know the truth. They just play deaf, dumb, and blind. When you hear history of origins of if presidents, if you got alien contact that could have been back in ancient times, back in the Sumerian times, back in the Mayan times, and they see cave drawings. So let's just say caves, a chisel, a couple of rocks, a chisel, and a cave that has drawings on it, and you have hieroglyphs in these caves from prehistoric time, from made by man. You might as well just think about today, where you got the New York Times, Fox News, MSNBC, you got these podcasts, you got blogs. That's our form of communication. That's our form of relating what's happening in today, in this day and age of this time. Back then, they wrote on walls of caves, which is referred to as hieroglyphs by scientists, or they chiseled. They carved out figurines and figures into the stone at which they were trying to communicate with. People, do you think that when the Sumerians drew or the Mayans carved these sculptures that looked like men were in space helmets and with breathing apparatuses on their mouths, you think they were doing that just to mess with us in the 20th century? That was their MSNBC, that was their Fox News, that was their blogs and podcasts. That was their only means of communicating what they were seeing. I don't write my syndicated articles. I don't write syndicated articles for someone to see 100 years from now. I write it for you to see today. And ultimately, that's our proof that they've been in existence longer than we could shake a stick at.
Well, you look at the International Space Station. You're not telling me these guys are just sitting up there just doing experiments. You're not telling me that. I mean, there's a reason why the International Space Station is out there. And I believe that they are doing communications. Hell, there might be even aliens going in the International Space Station. They could be sitting back right now drinking a beer. You never know. I mean, there has to be a reason why they wanted an International Space Station hovering above us with Russian astronauts and other types of astronauts out there. And it's just not for experiments. And all these space shuttle flights that we used to take, you know, it's more than going up to space to collect a few rocks. They're going up there to do something else that we're not privy to.
Exactly. And you don't see anything being attached or connected, trying to create like a Starship Enterprise. You don't see none of that crap happening. It's just them up there. What are they doing up there? What the hell are they doing up there? Just continuing to fix the space station? I'm lost. They're up there. One of the reasons why John F. Kennedy decided to take our nation to the moon is because he was pretty much wanted to slap the hand of these extraterrestrial factions that he knew that was controlling the masses, that they had control, and they tried to control him too. But John F. Kennedy was one of a rare breed, because he didn't think that he needed to kowtow to anybody. He's the president of the United States. He didn't need to kowtow to anybody, especially an extraterrestrial species that's trying to dictate what we do and what we don't do. Ultimately, we were not meant to go beyond this planet and this atmosphere. We were not meant to go beyond that. Kennedy said, "The hell with you and your treaty. Humans will go into space." And they did so. But the first moon landing was a complete farce. They just went into space so they could actually see what was going on out there in space. And if you can see some of the archives coming out from NASA, you can see some of the archive footage. You can see ships everywhere. You can see flying things everywhere in outer space. In the atmosphere of Earth, around Earth, in our atmosphere, as well as outside of our atmosphere, in space, you can see flying apparatuses. Just go to YouTube and type in UFOs from NASA or something like that. You'll come up with dozens of footage that are enhanced and shown. Real-time footage that shows it. And that's what the space station is up there to do, to see what's going on there, to get closer to the heavens in order to relay things back to the United States or the world of what's actually impeding or what's about to happen. But ultimately, those individuals that are those astronauts that are up there in that space station, they are pretty much what you call sacrificial lambs. That's like this whole thing about people going, let's go to, who's going to go to Mars? You ever heard of that? That people are signing up to go to Mars, but they can't come back? It's the same thing as the space station. If they can't come back, they will be the first thing that's taken out by these extraterrestrial races if they were coming to attack us.
Well, it's like they say in space, no one can hear you scream, you know, and that's the truth. I mean, there could be intergalactic wars being fought right now above us. You know, you never know. I mean, it's kind of weird the way we took our space fence down on September 1st because they said it was sequestration, and that they're building a bigger and better one. And that's, of course, that space fence is what picks up any kind of incoming objects. And they turned it off on September 1st. So, you know, here we got this biggest comet coming of all times, Ison, that, like I said, 4 times brighter than the moon that you can see during the day when it goes by us, heading for the sun. And, you know, it's dragging all kinds of space debris with it. We're going to go right through the tail of it in December, I think. And they're saying that there's asteroids 3 football fields wide and all kinds of other space junk with it that's going to be pelting the Earth for I don't know how long. And that these fireballs we're getting right now are because of it. And, of course, we have no detection now. We count on the Russians now to get us into outer space because we canceled our space program because we're so broke. And it's just, you just wonder if it ain't done by design.
I have to go with the latter. I have to go with done by design. Most of these things, nothing's an accident. Not in our nation or global occurrences. I don't think anything's an accident. Between the Katrina catastrophe, these storms, we don't know what's happening. We don't know if it's manipulated. We don't know anything. But we do know that there's over 98% of our planet is not having, certain things haven't been discovered. And 98% of our planet, because at least 98, 95, 98% of our planet is covered by water. These extraterrestrial species have also lived in the waters of our planet. That's the best way to hide. It's the best way to hide. You can't see anything in the oceans. And some of the ocean caverns are so damn deep, it's pitiful. It's like it's the equivalent of swimming atop what is it? The highest mountain in the world, Everest. It's like swimming on top of Everest.
Well, you got to wonder when they're shooting rockets into the moon, saying they're looking for water. You know, something's up. I mean, you know, there's stories out there, like I talked to you earlier today, saying that the moon was put up in our atmosphere, or outside our atmosphere there, by jet propulsion, by propulsion systems, by other species, that they basically propelled our moon over us, and the propulsion system, you know, burn up. That's why the moon doesn't really rotate, while we always see one side of the moon and not the dark side. And it kind of makes sense to me. Maybe a different species stuck the moon there for a reason. You know, it makes perfect sense, because we always only see one side of the moon. We never see the other side. And it's crazy. Now, again, I want to throw out the call-in number. You know, we're coming to the top of the hour. We got about a half hour left in the show. And if anybody has any questions, please call us at 567-314-9296 or Skype FPRN Radio Live, and we'll get you on. We will take questions, and I'm sure people do have questions out there, you know, about this alien technology and intergalactic wars being fought. So call in, go ahead and ask away, and we'll put you on.
If you guys have a question that has to do with what can we do about this, AK? What can we do about this, Dave? The only thing I can answer that for you right now without you even calling in. Just get yourself a shovel. There's nothing you can do. I'm sure you know what I was gonna say, Dave, but you know, get yourself a shovel. The SHIT you're gonna be buried in will be knee high.
Well, you know, this space stuff really, I've always been interested in it. You know, I mean, the space station, intergalactic, you know, wars being fought over us. You know, you just wonder what's out there in outer space besides satellites and space junk. You know, I know we've got Star Wars weapons out there, and then you got to think, where did we get the technology for these Star Wars projects? We had to get it from somewhere.
It's the manipulation of these species, reverse engineering when it came down to the Roswell UFO incident. All this stuff started with Harry S. Truman. Harry S. Truman really, truly fortified the military-industrial complex. He, in a sense, he catapulted the process of the military-industrial complex, and he fortified it financially tenfold to the point where no matter what, our tax dollars mainly go towards to fortify and to strengthen the military-industrial complex, and there's nothing, not even the presidency, can actually stop this perpetuation of the military-industrial complex. All these things that are in place, between what I allude to in my story about, and Conspirator's Odyssey about super soldiers, to other factions about using children as weapons, as weapons in a covert process. That's why the Secret Service has to also be around the president's kids. Why do you think the president's kids need Secret Service? From kidnappers and whatever. But who would be the best ones to infiltrate the White House, or infiltrate or get closer to the president's kids? That would be other kids. Why would they not use them? And that's just one example. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, exactly, man. You know, we worry about other countries' spies infiltrating us, and we worry about spies infiltrating us when, you know, who knows? We're not worried about aliens that might have infiltrated us already. Wish they have a long time ago. You know, I've always believed that, hey, we might be like the hillbillies of the alien race. Maybe we're the rejects from the aliens, and they sent us all here because they thought we were too stupid to hang out with them.
Well, what a character in my book by the name of General George Stimkin. I'll have to let you and your audience come up, figure out who this person I'm talking about is. But he could be a fictional person. But he alludes to in a final letter to Captain Callista Flocker. He alludes to in a final letter. I can't tell you the plot of the story, but yeah, he alludes to something about Earth being possibly could be nothing but a free-range cattle farm, raising free-range humanoids for their extraterrestrial diet, and that's why they're fighting so hard for it. It's like
I think we're going to break now, AK. We'll continue this conversation. This is Endgame Beginning of WW3.
is what it seems.
You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy.
Oh God, please help me. He's got a knife.
You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy. Stay on the line for the next available emergency operator. You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy. Please stay on.
911 operator, what's your emergency, please? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Last year in the United States, thousands and thousands of 911 calls went unanswered. And if you call from a cell phone, there's no way to pinpoint where you are. Yet politicians like Dianne Feinstein call for more gun control. We have one question. Why do these politicians have armed bodyguards? Can't they just call 911?
Well, yeah, it's getting tough out there. Yeah, no doubt. I work in home invasions, mostly. Some murder, occasional rape, if she's hot, or really bitchy. And I'm a huge advocate of gun control, absolutely. Every time I kick in a door or smash a window, I face the possibility of being shot and killed. Allowing citizens to own guns creates a hostile work environment for me and my associates. No one should have to work under those conditions. I say make them all illegal, absolutely. I mean, I break the law for a living. I'm a professional, so it doesn't really bother me. No doubt. No doubt.
Your local violent criminals work hard and put their lives on the line every time they attempt to murder, rape, abduct, or assault a member of the citizenry. They desperately need your help. With your support, there may finally come a day when a violent criminal can have his way with you or someone you love without the fear, anxiety, and stress caused by knowing there's a possibility his victim might be armed. Please show your support by voting for stronger anti-gun legislation because criminals prefer unarmed citizens.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene.
I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom.
I'm a graphic designer.
College freshman.
Stay-at-home mom with a full-time job.
Scholar on social policy and a barista.
And I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, we promise to support him no matter what.
Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants, Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z, have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III.
And America is dead-ass broke, so our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008, in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV and any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers that tell him what to do would ever mislead us. A $25 donation will get you a piece of rubble from a war-torn Middle Eastern country kissed by Senator Lindsey Graham.
A $100 donation gets you a day pass to leave your local refugee camp.
You'll probably end up in a refugee camp, but it'll have free Wi-Fi.
So please, help us reach our goal of $1.6 trillion so we can make World War III a reality. Why? Because Obama.
Because Obama.
In every age, a technology is created that upends the foundations of society. The wheel, the printing press, the internet. Now, in a world sliding into financial chaos, a new technology is changing the way monetary systems work around the world. It is called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a new form of money, controlled not by banks, governments, or corporations, but through mutual commerce between free individuals. To learn more, visit weusecoins.com.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
We're back here on ENDGAME Beginning of WW3 with my guest, A.K. Kuykendall, author of Conspirator's Odyssey. And where you want to go from here, A.K.?
I don't know. Let's talk about some. Let's talk. We got events in my book out the way. I'll do a small closing if you don't mind. But in this last half. Talk about some other world events that could be connected to some of the stories in my book, or some of the stuff that you pretty much are a subject matter expert in, Dave.
Okay, I want to talk about the government shutdown. Now, they're bringing back 400,000 furlough employees, I think, starting on Monday. And the Senate's going to talk about passing a bill to give them back pay on Monday night. So basically, they're telling these guys, come back to work on Monday, but you're not going to get paid till after the shutdown. They brought back some FEMA workers for this tropical storm that really didn't turn out to be anything big, but a big rainstorm down south. What else? They brought back the WIC program, which is good, mothers with dependent children, which I think is a good thing. Now, what gets me is they're bringing back all of the pieces of the government in piecemeal type, where they're bringing back half the employees laid off. They gave back the WIC to the mothers with dependent children. They brought back a bunch of FEMA workers for down south. Why not just open the government? They say the government's pretty much 85% open right now. And I just don't know why they just don't go ahead and open it. I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, keep it closed as far as I care. But at the same token, this is just a big joke. I mean, the government is open. It makes no sense. I mean, sure, you got the parks and the monuments still closed, which is costing them more money to keep it closed than to have them open. And it's just stupid. I mean, over Obamacare, I mean, you look at Obamacare. It got passed, a year or so ago. It went through the House. It got passed. It went through the Senate. It got passed. It got appealed, went through the Supreme Court, and got deemed legal. And so what footing do the Republicans stand on right now trying to keep the government shut down because of Obamacare when they went ahead and passed it a while ago? It makes no sense.
It's all brinkmanship. It's all games. They're playing games with us. It's us. It's us, the American people, that they're playing games with. Just think about what I alluded to before about bureaucracies. I think about politics, and I'm always infused. I watch either movies, some more popular shows, but I mainly watch the news 24 hours a day. And I see all the games that are played. I even, that's why I don't put myself in the category of Republican or Democrat, because Dave, that I believe that the Democrat and Republican Party are nothing but two-party dictatorships that are fighting like hell to man over the masses of American society. Because we are nothing but any given pawn on any given chessboard out there. And basically, our suffering or whatever's going on with us does not matter when it comes down to 500 plus people setting the rules and regulations and telling us, we the American people, what we can do and what we can't do. When in actuality, when people think this is a democracy and not a bureaucracy, they're fooling themselves. Because when the government says jump, the only thing we the people can do is say how high, because we have no other recourse. They're playing with us. They know the Constitution. They know what they did. They passed that law. It's a law. It's been upheld. Let it run through. If it's so bad, let it crash on its own accord. Let Obama's administration fall on his sword, if that is the case. If not, leave it alone. But do not jeopardize the full faith and credit of our United States of America because of that. And the only reason the individual would sacrifice the full faith and credit of America is only to mess up a legacy or a would-be legacy of any given president. It doesn't matter who is in office, whether it's Hillary, whether it was Bush, or whatever. If people mess with the credit of America, it could shut everything down, and that could hurt us. And if you think for any minute that any president can allow any one party in brinkmanship to actually drown that out with the coming debt ceiling, that's going to be a problem, because he would have to enact the 15th Amendment in order to get it passed, because as the head of state, he cannot allow all the nations in the world that are connected to the United States. That's why the United States is so strong, because of our dollar. According to the other nations, if our dollar falls, or if we fall, other nations will tumble, like a row of checkers coming down, or a row of dice coming down. It will happen. The same way that we are beholden to what we talked about before. You with me, Dave?
Yeah.
We talked about it before. The same way that a small proportion of we the people, a small portion of we the people, believe that they can do without the United States government, which is kind of hard because it was ingeniously set up a certain way. Then you take into consideration that same method the government has us beholden to them is the same way that the United States of America has other nations beholden to us. It's the same system. If the government falls, that you don't realize how ingrained the government is in small businesses, big businesses, corporations, in our daily lives, housing, everything the government is tied to. A small fraction of we the people would, if they would uproot that, it's going to completely destroy the nation, which would also be a matter of national security. It would jeopardize our national security, because if the other nations fall because of our dollar, if the debt ceiling come and President Obama deals with the Republicans, it's going to end up in us defaulting for the first time, destroying all other nations, and we won't be strong as we've always prepped ourselves up to be.
I agree with all that. Like I said, they came out today that the Republicans saying they're going to take this all the way up to the debt ceiling. They're not going to open up this government till the debt ceiling debate really gets going, which it has already. They've already been, Senate and the House have already been talking about this debt ceiling. I think that's one thing that the Democrats and the Republicans are unified on, and that's not to default on our debt. They're gonna put we're screwed either way, because if they raise the debt ceiling, they're just kicking the can down the road, and it's going to be that much worse when it does collapse. But if they don't raise the debt ceiling, well, we're going to collapse now. I mean, collapse is inevitable. I wonder how long that they can kick this debt ceiling down the road. I mean, how long can the printing presses keep printing cash? Some people say forever. Some people say they're fixing to stop. Some people say they've stopped printing money already. It's all a scam, and in the end, the poor people get it. Not, the 1% don't, but the 99% do. And, it sucks. I mean, because I don't see us defaulting on our debt. Like I said, I think that's one thing that the Republicans and the Democrats are unified on. They know it'd be apocalyptic if America was to default. It would take down the whole world with us, and no one wants that. I mean, it was just reported today that China's coming out with their own type of gold currency that they're getting ready to use real soon here. I mean, our currency, the dollar, is dying a very fast, painful death now throughout the world. China and Russia are already talking about getting rid of the dollar and just dealing with their own currencies. The petrodollar, well, that's going to the side of the road too. I mean, that's got to do with the wars in the Middle East and stuff. And it's all falling apart. It's all falling apart when it comes to the debt ceiling. It doesn't matter if they raise it, we're screwed. If they don't raise it, we're screwed. So, personally, me, I say let it collapse now. Let's get this over with. It sucks, but hey, we're going to go through it one day. We might as well just get it over with.
But Dave, think about it. There's a small. I have to say on the contrary about no one wanted. You're talking about the normal two-party dictatorship. We're not talking about, this is not the normal two-party dictatorship. This is an abnormality dealing with it's like the Democrats are fighting against two factions. You got the traditional Republican Party, the ones that no matter if you understand their politics or whatever, they were always part of the old system. But then you got this new breed. You got this new this breed where it comes down to they just want everything out. They don't understand how the government works. They just want to come in there and disrupt. It's called a revolution from the inside out. They came to the houses of Congress to not do a damn thing. They are messing with the entire system. Why do you think there's certain Republicans are speaking out right now? They're scared, yeah, but they're still speaking out slowly but surely. They're trying to see who else is going to follow them because they don't want to be alone, because everything's about power. People, when you get a taste of power, you want to hold on to that power. That's what actually polarizes everything in our politics is power. So when they get a taste of it, they don't want to get primaried by anybody, blah blah blah. But But basically, you got three parties in America. You got the Tea Party Republicans, you got the traditional Republicans, and you got the Democrats. The traditional Republicans and the Democrats, that right there was better for we the people because they just go on with their own usual two-party dictatorship crap that they go through. But this third party, this Tea Party, this Tea Party bracket of it, they don't give a damn what happens to the government. They would even like to see the government go down in flames, even with the debt ceiling. And that's what's going to give President Obama an opportunity, or at least because he said he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do it because it'll set a precedent for other presidents down the line if he took, according to his rights, the 15th Amendment, if he enacted the 15th Amendment and took away the right for Congress to raise or lower the debt ceiling. If he could take that away by law, he could take that away. But there was no reason for him to do that. But if this is going to go to the brink, and if this is really serious, he would have to, as the head of state, raise that debt ceiling, take it out of the hands of Congress, take the keys away from the children, and actually raise it himself. But opening up the government is still in the hands of the Congress. The power of the purse will always be there, according to the Constitution. Always the power of the purse is in the Congress. But the debt ceiling, that wasn't part of it. The
debt ceiling, that's a dangerous thing. Like I said, I think the majority of the Republicans and all the Democrats, the Senate and the House are pretty unified that they're not going to let it fall. I read a real good story the other day from this big economist. I can't think of his name right off my head here, but he said that there's 0% chance that we're going to default on our debt. That the Senate and the House both know that would just be too apocalyptic for the world if that was to happen. And I believe them. I do not think that we will default on our debt. I think they'll raise the debt ceiling another $1 trillion and put us further in the hole.
But Dave,
and what's that?
Think about it, Dave. Look what happened when they did the last time this whole debt ceiling crap came apart. For the first time in history, our credit rating was dropped. For the first time, they got that far into it for our credit rating to be dropped. That hurt us. That hurt us too. Forget a legacy of a presidency. The hell with him. The hell with President Barack Obama. Forget his legacy. This hurt the nation itself. Just having our credit rating dropped. That hurt world markets. Just that act alone. So if individuals could go that far to do it last time, what makes you think they won't go further this time? Hell, they were talking about a shutdown before the shutdown even came, and now they're trying to blame it on Democrats. When you said flat out what you were going to do, and you did it. That's a scary thing. These people that are supposed to be working on our behalves, again, are nothing but two-party dictatorships that are fighting like hell to man over the masses of American society. They both have issues. They both have problems. But there are nothing but 500-something plus people in the three houses, or a lot of these plus people in three houses of Congress, presidency, the Senate, and the Congress, that are playing with us. We put them in office when we're supposed to have the power. We don't got no damn power whatsoever. You know, the power lies in the 1%. It don't lie in us, we the people. They throw that bullshit at they throw that BS at soldiers to get them to lose limbs and lose their lives, and children lose their fathers. They throw that BS patriotism crap at them to get them to do that. They keep us chained to our houses by certain controls. There's certain ways that you can control the population, and they've enacted every last one of them. We are literally controlled, literally. And now they're trying to ramp it up a little bit more. Let's see if we can control a tiny city. Let's go with the Boston bombing. Let's test this theory out. So the Boston bombs go out. They literally got everybody to stay indoors. Ain't that about a B? Isn't that something else?
Yeah, that was, a Boston bombing was a false flag. They wanted to bring in some martial law and see how well it went over with the public. Exactly. It's like I've always said, you see everybody that complied, which was a lot, but I want to know how many people didn't comply. There had to be a few that said, I will not comply, I will not give my consent to leave my property. This is my home. I've done nothing wrong. You have no right to enter my domain. You have no right to search my house. I want to see a warrant. And, I can see where you could be scared when it happens that second. You don't have time to think when you got a bunch of guns pointed at you and mini tanks in the streets and dogs barking at you and, making people come out of their house with their hands up. Who knows what they did in these people's houses? Planting drugs, planting bugs, to spy on them. Who knows what they put in these people's houses while they were supposedly searching them for some 19-year-old kid that wasn't even in the martial law zone. There was like 20 blocks roped off. He was on like the 21st or 22nd block in a frickin' boat, and it was all a setup. It was just to try martial law in a major city and to see if it worked. I mean, it was an overwhelming force they brought in for just one kid. I mean, there's been bigger murders and attacks happen in this world where they didn't bring in quarter of the force that they brought into Boston. That told me right there, that Boston bombing. I absolutely made my mind up that something big's coming around the corner. They wouldn't be practicing this.
I agree. You wouldn't believe how many things in our world is connected. You wouldn't believe how many things and what's going on today is connected. You have no idea how connected these things are. It's all about testing the waters. Everything needs to be tested. Our military weapons, all this stuff that they put billions of dollars of our tax dollars, our hard-working tax dollars, into these military, some of the baddest weapons in the world. They do that, but they need to test those weapons. That's where the wars come from. Then you're dealing with the Boston bombing. They need to test the theory of this martial law stuff. You're right, they could have planted stuff in there. But we are nothing but suckers on a dole. We are being manipulated. Think about it. You can come out and say what you were saying, Dave. Well, I have the right to be out here. You are going to be a damn outcast, and the media complex is going to make sure that you are an outcast to the point where you're like Socrates. Socrates, the Greek philosopher, taught his students that the pursuit of truth can only begin once they start to question and analyze everything. But Socrates, in Greece, was forced to take poison and kill himself. But today, our media / government complex does not kill people for pursuing the truth about the world. At least that's what they lead us to believe. Know what they do? That's worse than getting killed in today's society, in the 20th century. They destroy your reputation and your career. And for a man trying to raise their children and trying to feed their family, that's a death sentence. For a single mother that's out there trying to feed themselves and feed their family, is a death sentence. For anybody, it is a death sentence. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to control us. The media, during the Boston bombing, controlled us, working hand in hand in lockstep with our United States government and the military complex to control us. The media played on our sympathies, played on our togetherness and our cooperation, blah, 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 sugar and rose petals. It's nothing but a form of control. But I can tell you right now, there is absolutely nothing you or I or anybody else that's listening in can do about it. It's an ingeniously set up process that will never be toppled by any foe. Nationally, domestically, or internationally. It's a perfect system. Welcome to America. If you were in Russia, welcome to Russia. You were in Japan, welcome to Japan. You were in China, welcome to China. It's just the way the world works. Nothing we can do about it.
Exactly, I mean, we got probably about 6 minutes left in the show here. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I mean, there's been dates given for years of something's going to happen this date, something's going to happen that date, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and that's how people get complacent. I mean, even me, I look at this government shutdown, and I just shake my head and say, whatever, life goes on, hopefully I'll still wake up in the morning and my day will go on the way it usually goes on. I mean, this shutdown hasn't affected me any. I mean, an economic collapse could happen and I would still be poor. I mean, I go day by day, I guess, these days. I was real wrapped up in all of this stuff for a real long time of dates and this and that. Now I just give up on trying to figure it out. I mean, I do my Mideast website, I do this, I do that, and I watch the news, and I try to look what's going on. But when it comes to trying to figure out the government, you can't figure them out. You can look at every little event that happens and say, oh, this is fixing to happen, or this is fixing to happen, and then nothing happens, and you're like, whatever, and that's just at the stage I'm at now. I'm awake. I took the red pill a long time ago. But as for sitting here worrying about if the government's going to collapse tomorrow or if aliens are going to come take us out tomorrow, I just don't worry about it anymore.
So I just that complacency. In my syndicated articles that are around the world, I talk to the same passions that you just divulged right here on the air. I talk to those passions in my syndicated article. It is true. They bog us down so much that it's kind of hard to keep up with this. What you would call in any normal setting minutia. It's nothing but a whole bunch of crap. But they got us spinning in circles. They have us spinning in circles when it comes down to politicians. They got us spinning in circles when it comes down to elections. They got us spinning in circles when it comes down to the debt ceiling and government shutdowns. They got us spinning in circles when they're putting fear into our hearts, thinking trying to convince us that we're saving you from another 9/11. So give us a little bit more of your freedoms. Blah blah blah. They're basically being very overt and more bold than they ever could be back in the day. They're being more bold in this day, telling you what's coming. They're telling you without telling you. And this is also part of the motivation behind why I wrote the book, Conspirator's Odyssey. And just as the closer for this, Conspirator's Odyssey, The Evolution of Patron Saint, is well worth the read. I know I'm biased, ladies and gentlemen, but it's well worth the read. It'll give you some insight into some things that you might have ignored when it comes down to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, or some things that you might have ignored when it comes down to the military-industrial complex by way of the trajectory of the arms divisions. It gives you a little bit more insight into 9/11, who did it and how it happened. But ultimately, it deals with the concept of our extraterrestrial concepts. I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I have to ask you, please, when you read the book, do not ignore the probabilities and possibilities in my body of work. Choose your pill wisely, like Dave said. Choose your pill wisely. America, we are not the only country possessing extraterrestrial DNA and technology. As America has secretly explored the mysteries of what fell from the heavens, other countries have done the same. Unbeknownst to anyone, we've all been embroiled in the midst of a worldwide race. Now our universal brethren have set their plan into overdrive by allowing mankind to do what comes naturally: destroy itself. Always careful not to appear too obvious, they've cloaked their plan behind scattered crop circles, UFO sightings, and most importantly, their keen knowledge of humanity's drive for absolutism. The crash in Roswell, New Mexico was our delivery. If it had never taken place, the powers manning over the populace of this planet would have never experimented with the genetics of those beings that fell from the heavens. They would not now be eating away at the fragile essence of the human race with something as simple as a syringe and a lack of a moral compass. I wrote Conspirator's Odyssey and created the series for we the people, the 99%.
Right on, AK. I mean, it's an awesome book. Everybody needs to check it out. We got about 2 minutes left in the show here. You can check out AK's website at thewriterofbooks.com, and you can check out all of his work there. Also, you can find me on the Endgame Beginning of WW3.com, Endgame Beginning of WW3 on Facebook, Global Divisions on YouTube, Endgame Show WW3 on Twitter, and like I said, I do a lot of Mid-Eastern world news on that, so check it all out. Check out AK's site. And AK, you got anything else to add to where you can be found at?
Just www.thewriterofbooks.com. That is my end-all, be-all. That's where my publicists go to. They do a lot of marketing on my behalf. There's a lot of things going on that site. It's constantly being updated. So come on down, see what I'm writing, see what I'm working on next, and see where my passions lie. Communicate with me. I'll hit you right back. I'm on dozens of social networking sites. I'm practically all over the world. So, and by the way, be with me. I have films in the work. They're not in the work. They're in negotiations, but films for both my novels, Conspirator's Odyssey, The Evolution of Patron Saint, and The Possession, and Writer's Block, The Possession. I'm in the process of working on films and the negotiation with plenty of studios out there, so you actually could see my work on the big screen soon. So wish me luck in that, guys. But ultimately,
okay, it's been a pleasure having you on the show here, and I'll see everybody next Saturday night on Endgame Beginning of WW3.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
Lift your eyelids, we reside with lies. It's the pinnacle. This is a pivotal point, and I'm sick of